In Washington state, the Democrats are attempting to lock out a bunch of Republican legislators before the session in 2021. What is going on here? Thank you for watching. My name is Glenn Morgan, and this is We the Govern. And as always, we are reporting here from Washington state, and the state where the eternal emergency that Governor Inslee declared 20 months ago just never comes to an end. And he continually finds new ways to lock us down and lock us out and just make this emergency never end. Which means, as a quick trigger warning that I have to give for all my viewers, anybody who's watching this video, that nothing I say today, in the past or in the future, is going to be approved by Inslee's Ministry of COVID Compliance. So if you only want to listen and believe anything Governor Inslee tells you, then you should stop watching right now, because you will not want to listen or watch any further. For the rest of you, we're going to be discussing this endless lockout because I want to really talk about what's going on in the state capitol itself. So right now you have Governor Inslee and, in this case, Speaker of the House, Laurie Jinkins, who are cheering the lockout and the lockout drama that has been going on in the state capitol of Olympia for a while. And in the past, if anybody was paying attention, they were able to do things like prevent people from having access to the Capitol. But most recently, the drama that's kind of popped up over the last few months has been the fact that they have basically prevented any legislator, and there were 26 of them when this started, who refused to turn in their papers, their medical papers, to the Speaker and to the Capitol bureaucrats. And because of that, because they aren't going to turn in their medical information, they had their access cards shut off and denied access to the Capitol, to their offices, to the offices that they've been elected to the taxpayers pay their staff to be there. And now these legislators have been locked out and they can't come in at all. And this has never happened before. I mean, we're really in completely uncharted territory. It's brand new. Nobody's ever tried anything like this. And I think the Democrats are feeling pretty happy because the Republican leadership has been mostly inept and very weak in responding to this. And this really made the news most obviously a few weeks ago when Representative Jim Walsh, who we have interviewed on this show numerous times about topics of interest as far as what's going on in the legislature, and he's from the 19th Legislative District in Southwest Washington, and he was the one who initially kind of drew attention to it because he did a whole Facebook video and it went viral and made national news, and they didn't want to show his COVID passport paperwork if he had any, and wasn't going to show that in order as a part of the process of getting into the Capitol. And as we all know, there's no intelligence test to be elected to office. These guys are examples of this fact. But while there may not be an intelligence test, they do want to have a COVID test applied to everybody before you can come in there. And this has been the big push and the controversy that's been going on. And the reason why they feel like they can get away with locking out Republican legislators is that they've been getting away with it now for quite a while, starting in January of 2021, when they basically decided to call out, Governor Inslee decided to call out the National Guard and shut all the public off from the state capitol and prevent them from going into their house for the first time in state history, and did it all throughout the legislative session. And this also shut out a lot of the legislators, and they went to a full Zoom session. And this is really also incredibly unprecedented. And now, because they got away with that last year, they're thinking about doing it this year. And one of the big benefits of this, and it was proven in this last legislative session, and Speaker Laurie Jinkins and Democrat caucus leader Andy Billig, who are pictured here, realized that this was the phenomenal opportunity to do one big grifting operation. I mean, if you can keep the people out, put them on Zoom, mute them most of the time, and then mute the Republican legislators when they have something to say you don't like, and basically prevent people from giving testimony in normal sense of the word, you're able to really get a lot of bad ideas passed through the legislative session, and most people aren't going to be aware of what's going on. Sure, they can Zoom in, and they can be one of 100 or 1,000 people kind of in the background, but by silencing them and making sure they don't show up and make sure they don't have anything to say, that allows you to pass a lot more taxes and a lot more ridiculous regulations. And really, it's about payoffs to your special interests. And this is one of the other strange things with this Zoom session, and we talked about this before. When those legislators are there on their little Zoom screens, and we've all seen them because we've had to deal with that, most of us, for the last 18, 19 months, you can see these legislators looking up and reading from cue cards and prepared statements. You have no idea what lobbyists are right behind their screen dictating to them and telling them what to do or how to vote. And at least when they're in the Capitol and you can be there as a citizen visiting, you can at least see who else is coming to lobby and push them and convince them to shift their votes one way or the other. And being able to see that at the Capitol, I think, is a powerful thing. And of course, that level of openness has been completely shut down and eliminated for this last legislative session in 2021, and it looks like they're going to do the same thing going into 2022. This is a bonanza for special interests. It's a bonanza for politically connected people. It's a bonanza for Governor Inslee, who certainly loves and enjoys the fact that this is a way to kick those dirty peasants out and not let them into the Capitol so that they can't see exactly how ugly and messy this sausage factory really is. Which leads us to this escalation where now they're going to say if you don't provide the right kind of paperwork if you don't show your vaccine passports or whatever they're going to restrict them on, that they can deny and prevent their political opposition from coming into the building. And that's exactly what's going on right now. Now, what's happened is the Republicans who have been locked out, at least a number of them, have filed a lawsuit actually against the governor and against the ability of the speaker to be able to do this to him. And unfortunately, it's gone to the Thurston County Courthouse. Now, Thurston County Courthouse is where the Constitution goes to die, and a lot of the judges there are highly biased in favor of government and under almost any circumstance. However, this lawsuit's really worth reviewing and recognizing here, and specifically these representatives, led by Jim Walsh here, claim that the 2022 House operating rules discriminate against their decisions not to be vaccinated, and it limits their access to parts of the State House and their ability to meet with constituents at the Capitol, and the lawsuit seeks an injunction to prevent the current rules from being implemented when the legislative session starts on January 10th. And we expect a relatively rapid decision being made here. Again, because it's the Thurston County Courthouse, I'm familiar with the Thurston County Superior Court, and most of these judges in Thurston County are put in this position because they may be familiar with the Constitution, they just don't believe the state Constitution is real. So most of the time they make rulings that are egregious and biased in almost every case against people who are being abused by the government. There are exceptions, though. Every now and then, I don't know if they decide that some special interest is pushing them a different way. You never know. Sometimes the judges will rule in favor of actually what the Constitution says. But this is a very difficult court to get through, and these judges have been largely put in these positions and appointed by Inslee, or many of them come from the Attorney General's office originally. They are there mostly to protect the government and not to protect your rights and your freedoms. So we'll have to watch and see how this court case proceeds. But it's an important one because we're in such uncharted territory here, very unprecedented, and it's highly unusual to have lawsuits like this. So the legal battle is going to continue, the political battle is going to continue in these lockouts, and then this effort to push this session where this another secret session that the public will have very little access to their representatives in. We have no idea who the special interests are behind those Zoom computer screens of the legislators as they try to, again, get bad ideas passed through. One of the reasons why this is kind of significant right now is that it's largely believed by insiders in both political parties that the Republicans are certainly going to pick up a lot of seats in the 2022 election, even in Washington State. Even if they're egregiously incompetent and are unable to even field effective candidates, they're likely to pick up good seats. And if they accidentally and uncharacteristically get their act together and run some good candidates and a wide number of seats, the Republicans could gain control of one or both houses in the legislature, which would be a significant setback for the Inslee regime right now. And so there's a lot of drama and a lot of focus on trying to get some special interests rewarded in this session in hopes of the Democrats to be able to kind of forestall or prevent that kind of an outcome. So we're really just, and this is strange territory, strange world right now. And it's important that you know what's going on, and I'll link to a lot of the articles that are related to this down below. If you want to learn more, go to wethegovern.com, and just encourage everybody to always be engaged in local government. As crazy and as nutty as things seem to be out there, the truth is, if you want to make a difference, you need to show up, because the future belongs to those who show up.